Hi guys! Thanks for coming to the college reunion. It's been so long since I've seen all of you guys, huh? Yeah, I mean so much has changed since our last time we saw each other. I mean, talk about the fall of communism.
Yes, I remember. I returned to Poland to the port of Donetsk where I became a dock worker, even though I had studied political science. I cannot believe how badly we were being paid. Our wages have been cut even more this week. The government is doing such a bad job.
You shouldn't say things like that. You could just jailed, or worse. If you really feel so strongly, why don't you go and do something about it?
Maybe I will. Honey, have you heard about the Solidarity movement? Some of the workers at the dock are trying to get together to form a workers' union.
Yes, I've heard about it. I find it ironic that the workers are the ones who are leading this movement, yet communism is supposed to be for the worker.
Join me in solidarity so that we can have freedom! Freedom!
Solidarity must now go from a workers' union to a coherent government. Now that we are free from the clutches of communism, we must turn to a free market economy.
Your speech was inspiring, but the fact is the economy has been in a slump since the fall of communism.
Wow, the fall of communism was actually similar in Lithuania and the Baltic states in general. Nationalism was such an important force.
Yeah.
It changed the way people interacted with the government. They took things into their own hands.
What are those people doing over there? They're making a chain to show their solidarity to the Baltic states. The Baltic states must stick together. Our culture did not blend well with the Soviet Union.
What do we want? Freedom! When do we want it? Now!
The road to independence has been difficult. Soviet retaliation for a declaration of independence is pretty harsh.
Yeah, and it took a failed coup in Moscow for the Russians to declare independence. These people don't understand. This has become my home. I've lived in Lithuania my entire life. Lithuanians can't help but feel resentment. When the Russians came, they took my family too. We Russians were not any more pleased to be forced to move. I don't have anywhere to go back to in Russia. The village of my ancestors does not have any kind of medical facilities. I can no longer be a doctor. Lithuania is much more advanced.
That's exactly why we didn't want the Soviet Union coming in and taking over. And by the way, we weren't just moved. We were forced into Siberia. And I'd rather live in Lithuania than Siberia. Way too many polar bears. Not a fan.
These movements are so dependent on each other, like dominoes.
And the first to fall was East Germany with the Berlin Wall.
It is good to meet you. Though we are cousins, we have never met until today.
Yes, this fall on the communists stopped me from ever visiting West Germany. I studied to become an accountant, but the economy crushed my dreams.
Natasha, the company is doing poorly and you have been demoted to factory worker.
Oh no!
Oh, how sad. The living conditions must have been awful.
Yeah, pretty much. I owned a Trabant. And when we went to buy stuff at the store, there was nothing.
Life in West Germany has been much better, for I own a Porsche.
So good of you to come and visit me in East Germany.
I'm really happy that Germany is now unified, but the East is so far behind the West. I think it's pulling us down.
It's not the factory workers' fault, though. They fought hard to unify Germany. The government should help them. Unemployment really wasn't a problem with the communists, but now it's become such a huge problem.
The workers should help themselves. In East Germany, workers are used to not having to work hard. They just wait for the government to give them everything. In the West, if we give the job to those who are the most qualified.
You West Germans are so snobby. Some of the policies, though, have put a burden on the East economy.
But other than that, the policies have been designed to help you. For example, import taxes have been removed.
Harder in the East because of our past with the old system.
It was even worse in Romania, since Ceausescu, our dictator, was extremely harsh, which made the transition all the more difficult. Bloodshed was foreseeable. Sir, the popular revolt yesterday is very worrisome. Their chants of today and tomorrow across the country may prove just to be true.
This revolt may be just what we need to finally take down the dictator.
You're right, how we must make sure we get rid of him quickly so he can't say anything about us that could bring us down.
Oh no, what should I do? They're plotting against Ceausescu, the hero of the people. Maybe that's not so bad. He's only brought misery to our people. For example, the food rations have been insufficient and the heating is set at 50 degrees. Well, when we have heating, that is. All of this in the name of eliminating foreign debt? No, I'm going to man up and stand with my people to do what is best for them.
I promise you higher wages!
I just got an order to fire on the crowd.
I refuse to fire. We should join the people.
Just what I was thinking. Let's go.
All of these changes have not been as conclusive as we had wished.
I agree. It seems like the revolution was cut short. A new government materialized out of nowhere. It seems a bit staged, considering all the same people have put in charge.
Yeah, Romania has not been completely purged of the horrible communists. All of the recent student protests have been savagely put down, and economically, foreign countries continue to invest in more stable ex-communist countries.
Wow, that sounds violent. In Czechoslovakia, we broke off from the Soviet Union in 1989 in what was known as the Velvet Revolution. And then we actually split in two in 1992.
Yeesh, that must have been difficult.
Not really. We voted on it, and the Slovaks formed their own country because they were less industrialized. That was known as the Velvet Divorce.
International affairs changed too. After the fall of the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact, other countries had to fend for themselves against the Russians. In Ukraine, issues such as nuclear management mixed with their internal affairs. Since the Glasnost policy was initiated in Russia, we've been able to meet and move around freely.
Before, this rally would have never been possible. We need to get together and show them that we want reform and independence.
Yeah, it's funny that communism, which has nothing to do with nationalism, has inspired nationalism in so many countries.
Yeah! Once Kravchuk and then Kuchma were elected, Russia was not supposed to be a problem, but then tensions have persisted.
The problem is the communists control the parliament. The president can't get anything done, and it's taking a toll on our economy.
You must have more of a free market.
No, it's fine the way it is.
You don't understand. You can't just oppose government and economic reform just because you're still a communist.
That's just what we're gonna do. Government's having problems adjusting. Sounds like a problem all of the governments had. In Russia, it was very hard for the people to adjust to the free market because they all had that communist mentality that was, developing at a slower pace. Plus, the communists, they stayed in power, so they slowed us down.
Let's continue the path of openness and glasnost. People should have the right to publish their opinions about the government. They must use their creativity to enrich our society. Also, in this day and age, we can no longer live isolated from the rest of the world. We must prosper in a global environment, not cower in a separate corner. This is why I've instituted perestroika to strengthen our economic prospects.
Gorbachev is right. We must move forward. This system of communism has made us fall far behind all of the other countries. And I believe that the United States has entered this arm race with the purpose of ruining us.
That sounds terrible. Do you really think they would do such a thing?
I think they would, and look around us. It's already happening. I think communism must come to an end.
That's absurd. Communism has been around for too long. It would be almost impossible to implement some new form of government when the people are so used to this kind of existence.
We shall see.
Russian people, much has changed since I was elected president of Russia in 1989. Russia has emerged from the depths of communism and has begun to privatize various industries.
I'm not sure giving companies to old friends counts as privatization. All those ex-communists got the resources of the country.
I would be lying to say our economy was doing wonderfully, but we have seen worse, and I'm confident that the Russian people can pull through this.
Russian people, does he mean the oligarchs? I'm sure they're doing just fine. They took advantage of the collapse of rule of law to seize companies. Now that they're in their grasp, it's going to be really difficult to get them back.
Now that the Russian people have been granted freedoms, society has begun to improve tremendously, especially in foreign relations.
Freedom of speech is great, but with corruption in government, it becomes futile.
Well,
not to mention inflation and lack of social services.
cheer up and stop glorifying communism. The problem also lies in the fact that the Russians are not used to a centralized power, not redistributing their wealth and managing their resources.
Hey cuz, wanna hear a funny joke?
Sure.
How you double the value of a Trabant?
I don't know.
Fill up the tank with gas!
That's not funny.